Right now, Julian is crying on the cold marble floor. He has $0, no passport, and no legal name. I am sitting in his leather chair, drinking his 50-year-old scotch, while he waits for the handcuffs. 5 years ago, this man framed me for a heist I didn't commit. He stole my family legacy. Then he hired me as a janitor just to watch me suffer. He thought I was a broken man scrubbing his toilets. He was dead wrong. Julian forgot one thing. I am the architect who built this bank. I didn't just design the vault. I discovered a secret in the land deeds from 1840. A secret that says this entire skyscraper belongs to me. I waited 5 years for him to sign the merger. The merger that triggered my trap. Most people play chess. I play the system. This is the story of how a man at absolute zero deleted a billionaire from the face of the earth. Watch until the end to see the move that changed history. The air inside Sterling and Cross is not like the air outside. Outside the city of Manhattan smells of exhaust and wet pavement. But inside these walls, the air is filtered. It is heavy. It smells of ancient mahogany, hand-rubbed leather, and the cold, metallic scent of billions of dollars. It is 3 in the morning. The silence is a physical weight. It presses against your eardrums. The only sound is the rhythmic, wet slap of a mop against white Italian marble. Slap, pause, drag. This is my world now. My name is Arthur. But to the people who walk these halls during the day, I do not have a name. I am a shadow in a blue polyester uniform, a ghost who removes the evidence of their existence. I am scrubbing the floor of the Great Hall. The ceiling is 40 feet high. It is covered in gold leaf that glows even in the dim security lighting. This building was designed to make men feel small. It was designed to tell you that you are nothing, that the money inside is more important than the blood in your veins. I know this better than anyone, because I am the one who built the security for this vault. I know every wire, every sensor, every secret heartbeat of this fortress. Now I am the one cleaning the dust off the sensors I once calibrated. My hands are cracked. The skin is gray from the constant bite of industrial bleach. The smell of the chemicals is always in my nose. It is sharp. It is stinging. It is the scent of poverty. It is the scent of a man who has been erased. When I finish my shift, I do not go home. I do not have a home. Home was a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs. Home was a life that Julian Cross burned to the ground 5 years ago. Now my home is a storage closet on the 4th floor. Room 402. It is 6 feet long. It is 4 feet wide. It is crowded with stacks of industrial paper towels and gallon jugs of floor wax. I sleep on a thin foam mat tucked between a shelf of light bulbs and a rack of dirty mops. The room smells of damp fabric and old dust. It is the absolute zero of human existence. I was lying on that mat 2 hours ago, listening to the hum of the ventilation system. The hum sounds like a chant. It says, "Not yet, not yet, not yet." I looked at the small, silver watch on my wrist. It is the only thing Julian didn't take. It was my father's. It is a mechanical watch. You have to wind it every morning. The ticking is steady. It is the only thing in this building that I can trust. I wound the watch. I put on my blue shirt, and I went back to work. I am currently on my knees near the executive elevators. There is a scuff mark on the marble. It is a black streak left by an expensive shoe. I am using a small brush, dipping it into a bucket of gray water. The water is cold. My joints ache. The dampness from the floor has soaked through the knees of my pants. My legs feel like they are made of lead. Then I hear it. The chime of the private elevator. It is a soft, musical sound. It is the sound of absolute power. The doors slide open with a hiss of pressurized air. A man steps out. Julian Cross, the CEO, the man who owns the air I breathe. He is wearing a charcoal suit that costs more than I earned in 3 years. He smells of expensive cigars and a cologne that costs $400 an ounce. It is a sweet, sickly smell, like rotting lilies. He is not alone. He is on his phone. His voice is loud, arrogant. He is talking about a merger. He is talking about destroying a smaller bank. He is talking about people like they are numbers on a spreadsheet. He walks toward me. He does not slow down. He does not look down. To him, I am a part of the architecture. I am a bump in the floor. I move my bucket to the side. I press my body against the cold marble to give him space. But Julian is not in a hurry. He stops. He stands directly in front of me. His shoes are beautiful. They are black, hand-stitched leather. They are polished to a mirror finish. I can see my own tired face reflected in the toe of his boot. I know those boots. They are John Lobb, $5,000. Custom made. Julian stops his conversation. He looks down at my hand. My left hand is resting on the floor, supporting my weight. He smiles. It is not a kind smile. It is the smile of a predator who has found a toy. He lifts his right foot, slowly, deliberately. He places the heel of that $5,000 boot directly onto my knuckles. He presses down. The pain is a white flash in my brain. I feel the skin tear. I feel the bones in my hand begin to grind together. The pressure is immense. He is putting his entire weight onto my hand. I do not scream. I do not move. I keep my head down. My eyes are fixed on the marble. I can see a drop of my own blood hit the white stone. It looks like a tiny red star. Julian leans in. I can smell the scotch on his breath. He whispers into his phone. Hold on a second. I just stepped on some trash. He looks at me. His eyes are cold. They are the eyes of a man who has never known hunger. You missed a spot. Janitor, he says. His voice is smooth, like silk. He grinds his heel into my hand one last time. I hear a faint pop. A small bone has cracked. He lifts his foot. He wipes the bottom of his boot on the leg of my uniform, as if my blood is the thing that is dirty. He laughs. A short, sharp sound. And then he walks away. He continues his phone call as if nothing happened. He talks about interest rates. He talks about his yacht in the Mediterranean. The elevator doors hiss shut behind him. I am alone again in the great hall. The silence returns. But it is different now. The silence is no longer a wait. It is a fuse. I look at my hand. It is shaking. It is covered in dark blood and floor wax. The pain is a throbbing, hot pulse. It radiates up my arm. It goes all the way to my shoulder. I slowly reach for my bucket. I dip a clean cloth into the water. I wipe my own blood off the white marble. I do not leave a trace. I am a professional. I sit back on my heels. I reach into my pocket with my good hand. I pull out the silver watch. It is exactly 3:15 a.m., December 24th, the day of the great merger. Julian thinks he just stepped on a janitor. He thinks he just broke a man who has nothing left to lose. He is wrong. He didn't break me. He just gave me the final motivation I needed. I look at the elevator doors. I look at the security camera in the corner. I know exactly where the blind spots are. I know exactly when the digital handshake for the trillion-dollar merger happens. I look at the clock. The seconds are ticking by. Each tick is a step toward his ending. Each tick is a heartbeat of the trap I have been building for 5 long years. He took my name. He took my family. He took my life. But he forgot that I am the one who holds the keys. The countdown has begun. Julian. You should have looked at the land deeds. You should have looked at the foundations of this building. You should have treated the janitor with respect. Because the man at absolute zero has a very special property. He can only go up. And when he rises, he brings the whole world down with him. I stand up. I pick up my mop. My hand is screaming in pain, but I do not feel it. All I feel is the cold, hard logic of the plan. I have 2 hours before the sun comes up. 2 hours to finish the audit. 2 hours to trigger the letter of Marque. The janitor is finished for the night. The architect is back. Memory is a heavy thing. It smells like blue ink and expensive parchment. Before the bleach, before the storage closet, I was a man of steel and stone. I was the architect of dreams. My name was etched in glass and gold. I sat in an office that touched the clouds. The air was thin. The views were infinite. I didn't hold a mop. I held a pen. And with that pen, I drew the impossible. I was the lead architect for the Sterling and Cross vault, the most secure room on the planet. A fortress of titanium. Deep beneath the bedrock of Manhattan, I remember the day we broke ground. The air was cold and damp. The smell of wet earth was everywhere. Julian Cross stood next to me. He wasn't the CEO back then. He was just the man with the money. He wore a heavy wool coat. It smelled of wood smoke and ambition. He looked at the deep hole in the ground. He called it a temple. He said, "Arthur, we are building a cathedral for the only God that matters, wealth." I believed him. I worked 20 hours a day. My eyes were always red. My fingers were stained with graphite. I obsessed over every bolt, every sensor, every laser grid. I designed a system that was perfect. It was a masterpiece of logic. My wife Alina used to bring me coffee in the middle of the night. She would wrap her arms around my neck. Her hair smelled like lavender and home. She would tell me to come to bed. She would say, "Arthur, you are building a cage, not a building." I would just laugh. I would tell her that I was building our future. I didn't realize. I was building my own prison. Julian was always there. He was at our dinner table. He was at our holiday parties. He was the charming friend, the man who toasted to our success. He looked at my blueprints, but he was looking at my life. The vault was finished in the spring. It was a beautiful, terrifying thing. $500 million in gold bars, stacked like bricks. The light reflected off the metal. It turned the room into a sun. I felt a sense of pride. I had created something unbreakable. But Julian had found the one weakness I didn't account for: human greed, specifically his own. The night of the betrayal was raining. A hard, cold rain that turned the city gray. I was at my desk, looking at a new project. The door kicked open. Not Julian. The police. They didn't ask questions. They threw me against the wall. The cold plaster pressed against my cheek. They shouted about the gold. They shouted about $500 million. Vanished. Empty crates. A bypassed security system. A system that only I could control. I was confused. I told them to check the logs. I told them to look at the cameras. They laughed. They showed me the footage. It was me. My face. My badge. My security code. I was walking into the vault at midnight. I was loading the gold. It was a digital ghost. A deep fake created by the very servers I had helped install. Julian had used my own technology against me. He had recorded my movements for months. He had mapped my voice. He had stolen my soul. I waited for Julian to come to the station. I waited for my friend to save me. He did come, but not to save me. He sat across from me in the interrogation room. The room smelled of stale coffee and cigarettes. He didn't look sad. He looked bored. He leaned in close. His voice was a whisper. He told me that the gold was gone. He told me that he had sold it through 3 offshore accounts. He told me that I was the perfect fall man. And then he twisted the knife. He told me that Alina was gone. She didn't believe in me anymore. Why would she? The evidence was everywhere. The money. The footage. The lies. He told me that she was with him now. That he could give her the life I had promised. A life without the smell of ink and the stress of deadlines. My heart didn't break. It turned into a stone. Cold, hard stone that sat in my chest. Then came the erasure. Julian didn't just want me in prison. He wanted me dead to the world. He used his connections in the government. His friends in the high places. My social security number was flagged. My bank accounts were seized. My birth certificate was lost in a convenient fire. I was no longer Arthur the architect. I was a non-person. a legal shadow. When the judge looked at me, he didn't see a citizen. He saw a ghost. I spent 3 years in a state facility, but I wasn't there for the gold. I was there because Julian wanted me out of the way. I sat in a cell that was 6 feet by 8. I stared at the ceiling. I didn't pray. I didn't cry. I calculated. I remembered every line of the blueprints. I remembered every circuit in the vault. I realized something. Julian had changed the codes, but he couldn't change the physics. He couldn't change the foundation when I was released. I was truly zero. No money. No family. No name. I stood on the sidewalk in the rain. The city felt like a stranger. I walked to the Sterling and Cross building. I stood across the street. I watched Julian walk out. He had a driver. He had a bodyguard. He had my wife on his arm. She looked beautiful. She looked sad. She looked like she was living in a dream she couldn't wake up from. I didn't go to the police. The police were paid by Julian. I didn't go to a lawyer. The lawyers were Julian's friends. I didn't go for a gun. A bullet is too quick. A bullet is too merciful. I wanted something deeper. I wanted systemic justice. I wanted to watch him lose everything in the same way I did. Slowly, methodically, legally, I went to the public library. I spent weeks in the basement. The air was thick with the smell of old paper and rotting glue. I searched through the property records. I searched through the land grants of 1800. I searched through the forgotten history of New York City. I wasn't looking for a loophole. I was looking for the truth. I found a document, a yellowed, brittle piece of history, a deed from 1840. It wasn't about the building. It was about the dirt, the very bedrock the bank sat on. It was a sovereign land grant. It had never been transferred to a corporation. It belonged to a family, my family. The line Julian thought he had erased. My grandfather hadn't just been a builder. He had been a steward. I looked at the blueprints again. Not the ones for the vault, but the ones for the law. Julian thinks he owns the bank. He thinks he owns the gold. But he is a tenant, and the lease is about to expire. I realized then that I didn't need a name to take him down. I needed a mop. I needed to be the ghost in the machine. I needed to see what he does when he thinks no one is watching. I applied for the job. Night shift janitor. They didn't even run a background check. Why would they? I was a man with no history. I was a man with no face. I took the blue uniform. I took the bucket. I took the mop. And I walked back into my masterpiece every night for 5 years. I have been auditing his life. I have been reading the documents left on the desks. I have been watching the keystrokes. I have been learning the heartbeat of his greed. He thinks I am cleaning the floors, but I am actually dismantling his empire, piece by piece, bolt by bolt. Tonight is the night of the merger, the night he thinks he becomes a god. He doesn't know that the foundation is made of sand. He doesn't know that the architect is in the building, and the architect has found the flaw. I am standing in the storage closet. The smell of bleach is strong. It clears my head. I look at my cracked knuckles. I look at the blood on my shirt. The pain is a reminder. The pain is a map. I pull out a small, encrypted drive. It is the size of a thumb, but it contains the weight of a mountain. I hear the city waking up outside. The sun is starting to hit the tops of the buildings. Julian is probably in his penthouse, looking at his reflection, feeling proud. He thinks he has one. He thinks the janitor is just a piece of trash he can step on. But I am not just a janitor. I am the man who knows where the bodies are buried. Because I am the one who built the cemetery. I walk out of the closet. I have 1 hour left. 1 hour to upload the final sequence. 1 hour to trigger the margin call from hell. The air is changing. The silence is over. They think I am cleaning the dirt, but I am actually counting the sins. For 1800 nights, I have been a ghost in the motherboard. Most people look at a man with a mop and see a failure. Julian looks at me and sees a tool, but I am the one using him. The executive floor is a different world after midnight. It smells of ozone and expensive air filtration. It is the scent of secrets being kept at exactly 72 degrees. The silence here is not empty. It is heavy with the hum of servers and the ghost of billion-dollar conversations. I spent 5 years becoming a human recording device. Every night, I move my mop in perfect circles. Slap, pause, drag. This rhythm is my cover. While my hands are busy with the soap, my mind is busy with the data. I have memorized the sound of Julian's footsteps. I have memorized the way he breathes when he is lying on a conference call. But most importantly, I have memorized his hands. I do not look at his face. I look at his fingers. From the shadows of the hallway, I have watched him type his master password 10,000 times. I have learned the music of his keyboard. Every key has a different pitch. The A is a soft click. The Enter key is a heavy thud. By the third year, I didn't need to see his screen. I could hear his passwords. I could hear his lies being typed into the global ledger. I know his primary code, 198. 4. Julian is not creative. He is just arrogant. Asterisk, but a password is not enough. Not for what I have planned. To delete a man like Julian, you cannot just steal his money. You have to destroy the system that protects him. You have to pull the thread that unravels the entire tapestry. For 5 years, I have been auditing the Sterling and Cross empire. I've read the documents he leaves in the shredder bins. I have spent hours piecing together thin strips of paper in my storage closet. The smell of old glue and dust became my perfume. I found the shadow ledger. It is not on the main server. It is hidden in a folder labeled Charity Maintenance. It's a classic hiding place. It contains the records of every illegal offshore transfer made in the last decade. Cayman Islands, the Seychelles, Panama, millions of dollars moving like blood through a dark vein. I have the account numbers. I have the routing codes. I have the names of the politicians who took the bribes. But there is a final lock. A digital guillotine designed to protect the bank from an internal raid. It is called the Dead Man's Key. The Dead Man's Key is a physical hardware token. It is a small, titanium encrypted drive. It never leaves Julian's person. It is the only thing that can authorize the allodial transfer of the bank's core assets. Without it, my evidence is just noise. With it, my evidence is a death warrant. The key is the bridge between the digital lie and the physical truth. I am currently mopping the floor of his private office. The room is dark. The only light comes from the moon reflecting off the glass towers of Manhattan. The city looks like a circuit board from up here. I am standing near his desk. The desk is a single piece of ancient obsidian. It is cold. It is hard. It is exactly like Julian's heart. My hand is still throbbing from where he stepped on it. The pain is a sharp, electric pulse. It keeps me awake. It keeps me focused. I look at the small safe built into the floor behind his chair. I designed this office. I know that the safe is not for money. It is for the key. Julian thinks he is the only one who knows the combination. He is wrong. I watched him open it last week while I was dusting the bookshelves. He thinks a janitor doesn't understand numbers. He thinks a man in a blue uniform doesn't have a memory. I kneel on the floor. My knees click in the silence. The carpet is thick. It is a deep, midnight blue. It feels like velvet under my bruised knuckles. I reach out with my good hand. My fingers are steady. I am not a thief. I am a builder reclaiming his materials. I turn the dial. Left 232. Right to 11. Left 285. The click of the mechanism is the most beautiful sound I have ever heard. It is the sound of a prison door opening. I pull the heavy door back. Inside there is no gold. There is no cash. There is only a small, black velvet box. My heart is beating against my ribs like a trapped bird. I can feel the sweat on my forehead. It is cold. It smells of fear and adrenaline. I open the box. There it is. The dead man's key. It is cold to the touch. It feels heavier than it looks. It is the weight of $500 million. It is the weight of my stolen life. It is the weight of Elena's betrayal. I hold it in my palm for a second. The metal is biting into my skin. This little piece of hardware is the only thing that stands between Julian and total destruction. Suddenly, I hear a sound. It is not the hum of the servers. It is not the wind against the glass. It is the sound of the private elevator. The chime is soft, musical, deadly dot. Julian is coming back. He never comes back at this hour. My stomach drops. The cold floor feels like it is falling away. I have the key in my hand. The safe is open. The mop bucket is 3 feet away. I have exactly 12 seconds before the doors slide open. If he sees me, the plan is dead. I am dead. The architect will be erased forever. I do not panic. Panic is for the weak. I am the man who built the vault. I am the man who survived the absolute zero. I slide the velvet box into the pocket of my uniform. I close the safe door. I spin the dial. I grab the mop. The elevator doors hiss open. The light from the hallway spills into the dark office. It creates a long, sharp shadow of a man. Julian steps into the room. He is still wearing his charcoal suit. He looks tired. He looks angry. He is holding a glass of amber liquid. The smell of scotch fills the air. He stops. He sees me. "You're still here," he says. His voice is a low growl. It is the voice of a man who owns the world. I do not look up. I keep my head down. I move the mop. Slap. Pause. Drag. The floor was particularly dirty tonight. "Mr. Cross," I say. My voice is flat. It is the voice of a man who has no soul. He walks toward his desk. His footsteps are heavy on the thick carpet. He stands 2 feet away from me. I can feel the heat radiating off him. I can hear the ice clinking in his glass. He looks at the floor. He looks at the spot where the safe is hidden. "Get out," he whispers. "I have work to do." I bow my head. I pick up the bucket. The water sloshes inside. It sounds like a storm. I walk toward the door. Every step feels like a mile. The dead man's key is burning a hole in my pocket. I can feel it pressing against my leg. A silent witness to my crime. I reach the doorway. I stop. I turn back. "Mr. Cross?" I say. He doesn't look up from his desk. "What?" "I fixed the scuff mark." "The one from your boot," I say. He ignores me. He is already reaching for the dial on the floor. He is already looking for his security. I walk out into the hallway. The doors close behind me. I am in the hallway. I am alone. I have the key. The audit is complete. The evidence is ready. The trillion-dollar merger is only 4 hours away. But as I reach the utility closet, I realize something. The key is encrypted with a biometric lock. It doesn't just need the hardware. It needs a fingerprint. Julian's fingerprint. I have the key, but I have no way to turn it. I look at my own hand. The one Julian stepped on. The skin is torn. The blood is drying. I look at the mop bucket. I look at the cleaning chemicals. I am a master of architecture. I am a master of systems. And I have one final, gory move left to make. The sun is beginning to rise. The sky over Manhattan is turning a bruised purple. The climax is coming. The sun has officially claimed the sky. The bruised purple of dawn is gone. Now, the light is sharp and unforgiving. It bounces off the glass towers of Manhattan like 1,000 razor blades. Inside Sterling and Cross, the energy is different. It is electric. It is frantic. It is the smell of $1 trillion about to change hands. The air is thick with the scent of expensive lilies, thousands of them, white and pure, arranged in massive crystal vases that cost more than a year of my salary. They are trying to hide the smell of the bleach, but I can still smell it. It is beneath my fingernails. It is in the fabric of my soul. The lobby is a sea of black suits and clicking cameras. The world's media has arrived. Every major network is here. They are all here to witness the largest merger in human history. The union between Sterling and Cross and the Federal Reserve. It is not just a business deal. It is a coronation. Julian Cross is about to become the king of the financial world. I see him standing on a raised podium. He looks like a god in charcoal wool. His teeth are perfectly white. His hair is perfectly styled. He is shaking hands with men whose names are on the back of every currency note in the world. He looks powerful. He looks untouchable. I am standing in the far corner. Behind a velvet rope, I have my mop. I have my bucket. I am the invisible man once again. My hand is wrapped in a dirty bandage under my glove. The pain is a dull, constant roar. I think about the night. I think about the biometric lock. I think about the gory move I made in the utility closet. A simple piece of silicone. A lifted print from his scotch glass. A bit of heat. And a lot of patience. The dead man's key is no longer just a piece of metal in my pocket. It is live. It is breathing. It is currently plugged into a hidden port in the service elevator's control panel. It is a Trojan horse sitting inside the bank's golden heart. It is waiting for the digital handshake. The sound in the room is deafening. It is a roar of ambition. The clinking of champagne flutes. The rapid-fire click of high-end cameras. The ozone smell of electronic equipment. The air is hot. The body heat of 500 elite guests is fighting the air conditioning. Julian is in his element. He thrives on the attention. He feeds on the envy of the men around him. He is currently giving a speech about the future of global finance. He uses words like stability, integrity, legacy. Every time he says the word integrity, my bruised knuckles pulse with fire. He is lying to the world. He is standing on a platform built of stolen gold and erased lives. He is about to sign a document that will make his crimes legal forever. Once the Federal Reserve merges with his accounts, the trail of the $500 million will be buried under $1 trillion of new capital. It is the ultimate laundering scheme, and the world is applauding him for it. Julian pauses his speech. He looks toward the back of the room. He sees me, the man in the blue polyester uniform, the man who represents everything he hates, the man who represents the truth he tried to kill. He doesn't look away. Instead, he smiles. He decides he wants one more moment of dominance, one more display of his height compared to my depth. He steps down from the podium. The cameras turn. The reporters scramble to follow him. The crowd parts like the Red Sea. He walks directly toward the velvet rope where I am standing. The smell of his cologne hits me first. It is the smell of rotting lilies and cold. Hard ego. He stops 3 feet away. The cameras are zoomed in on his face. They are zoomed in on my mop bucket. "Look at this man," Julian says. His voice is projected through a wireless microphone. It echoes off the marble walls. Arthur has been with us for years. He is the backbone of this building. He keeps our floors clean while we keep the world's economy moving. A few people in the crowd chuckle. It is a cruel, filthy sound. Julian reaches into his pocket. He pulls out a single penny. It is old. It is corroded. It is a piece of copper junk. He holds it up for the cameras to see. "I believe in rewarding hard work," Julian says. His eyes are dancing with malice. "Arthur, for your years of dedicated service, for the scuff marks you've erased, and for the storage closet you call home." He tosses the penny. It doesn't fall. Flies. It hits me in the chest before falling into the soapy, gray water in my bucket. It makes a tiny, wet splash. "Don't spend it all in one place," Julian says. The room erupts in laughter. The reporters are writing down the quote. They think it's a charming display of billionaire wit. They think it's a harmless joke between a master and a servant. Julian turns his back on me. He walks back toward the podium. He thinks he just won. He thinks he just put the final nail in my coffin. I look down into the bucket. The penny is sitting at the bottom, surrounded by the dirt of the bank's floors. I reach in. I don't care about the soap. I don't care about the chemicals. I wrap my bandaged fingers around the coin. I pull it out and then I look up. I look directly into the lens of the nearest camera. I know that this feed is going live to every trading floor in London, Tokyo, and Zurich. I know that the Federal Reserve lawyers are watching this on their tablets. I smile. It is not a polite smile. It is not the smile of a janitor. It is the smile of the architect who just found the load-bearing wall. My smile is a warning. But Julian is too drunk on his own power to see it. He is picking up a gold-plated pen. He is leaning over the trillion-dollar contract. The Federal Reserve chairman is standing next to him, ready to sign. Julian looks at the cameras one last time. He looks at me. He winked. I look at the clock on the wall. It is exactly 9:29 a.m., 1 minute before the market opens. 1 minute before the digital handshake. I reach into my other pocket. I touch a small, wireless remote. It has one button. I think about Alina. I think about the cell. I think about the 5 years of scrubbing his filth. I press the button. Suddenly. The lights in the lobby flicker. The massive digital display behind the podium. The one showing the Sterling and Cross logo. It turns static. A low, deep hum begins to vibrate through the floor. It is the sound of the servers screaming. It is the sound of the dead man's key beginning the allodial transfer. The Federal Reserve chairman freezes. He looks at his tablet. His face goes pale. Julian's pen is hovering an inch above the paper. He stops. He looks at the screen behind him. The logo is gone. In its place, a document is appearing. It is old. It is yellowed. It is the sovereign deed from 1840. And across the top of the screen, in giant blood-red letters, it says, "Lease expired. Access denied." Julian's phone begins to ring. Then the phone of every executive in the room begins to ring. It is a symphony of panic. The trillion-dollar merger just hit a wall. I stand there with the penny in my hand. The cameras are still on me, but no one is laughing anymore. The silence in the room is terrifying. Julian looks at me. His face is no longer charcoal and gold. It is the color of ash. He realizes that the janitor didn't pick up the penny because he was poor. He realizes that the janitor picked it up because it was the last cent Julian Cross would ever own. The gold pen is heavy. It is a masterpiece of craftsmanship, custom made for a man who believes he is the master of the universe. Julian holds it with the confidence of a king. His hand is perfectly steady. He leans over the trillion-dollar contract. The white paper is thick. It is expensive. It is the skin of a new era. The Federal Reserve chairman leans in. He is smiling for the cameras. The air in the lobby is pressurized. It feels like the inside of a balloon. 1 second before it bursts, the tip of the nib touches the paper. It makes a tiny scratching sound, like a claw on a dry bone. Julian begins the first curve of his signature. The J, it is a bold stroke. Then the heartbeat of the world stops. The power does not just flicker. It dies. The massive chandeliers, the gold leaf accents, the thousands of hidden spotlights. They all vanish into an absolute, terrifying blackness. The silence is a physical blow. It is the sound of $1 trillion disappearing into the void for 3 seconds. The only sound is the collective gasp of 500 elite guests. It is a cold, sharp intake of breath. The smell of the white lilies is suddenly replaced by the sharp, stinging scent of ozone. Electrical discharge. The building is screaming in a language only I can understand. Then the emergency systems kick in. But they are not the systems Julian installed. They are the systems I rewrote. Every single screen in the lobby. The 50-foot digital wall. The tablets in the hands of the lawyers. The televisions in the press corner. They all flickered to life at the exact same moment. They are not showing the news. They are not showing the stock market. They are drenched in a deep, pulsing, blood-red light. The color is hypnotic. It is the color of a warning. It is the color of Julian's ending. The crowd is frozen. The red light reflects off their expensive suits. It makes them look like they are standing in a pool of fire. In the center of the 50-foot screen, a document appears. It is not a digital file. It is a high-resolution scan of an ancient piece of parchment. It is yellowed. The edges are brittle and burnt. At the bottom, there is a heavy crimson wax seal. It is the seal of the Sovereign Land Office. The title across the top is inelegant, handwritten script from a century and a half ago. It says, Allodial Title of Sovereign Possession, 1840. Julian's pen drops. It hits the marble floor with a sharp, metallic ring. The sound echoes in the red silence. He looks at the screen. His eyes are wide. They are the eyes of a man who just saw a ghost. Because he has. He is looking at the ghost of the land he thought he owned. Most people do not understand the word allodial. They think property is simple. They think if you pay the bank, you own the house. They are wrong. In the modern world, all property is held in a trust by the state. You are a tenant. You pay taxes for the right to exist on the dirt. But an allodial title is different. It is the ultimate weapon of the ancient world. It means you own the land itself, from the center of the earth to the highest point of the sky. No taxes, no government, no corporate law. It is a sovereign kingdom of one. The document on the screen is a land grant. It was signed by the governor of New York in 1840. It was granted to a man named Silas Sterling, my great-great-grandfather. He didn't build a bank. He built a legacy. He granted a 99-year lease to the city. That lease was renewed once, in 1926. For another 99 years, I've spent 5 years in the library basements. I have spent 5 years tracing the bloodline. Julian erased my name. He erased my social security number. But he could not erase my DNA. I am the last living heir of Silas Sterling. I am the sovereign owner of the bedrock beneath this skyscraper. The red screen begins to scroll. It shows the math. It is simple. It is brutal. It is undeniable. 1926 plus 99 years. The clock on the wall hits 9:30 a.m., December 24th. 2025, the lease has expired. The bank does not own the vault. The bank does not own the lobby. The bank is currently a trespasser on private, sovereign ground. Under the terms of the 1840 grant, any structures remaining on the land after the expiration of the lease immediately forfeit to the landowner. Everything, the titanium vault, the 50-foot screens, the $1 trillion in the digital accounts, it all just changed hands. Not through a merger, but through the law of the dirt. The Federal Reserve Chairman takes a step back. He pulls his hand away from the contract as if it is made of acid. He looks at Julian. Then he looks at the lawyers. Is this real? He whispers. His voice is trembling. A senior lawyer from the front row stands up. He is staring at his tablet. His face is the color of chalk. The digital signature on the deed is verified. He says, it is an allodial grant. It predates the city's incorporation. If the lease expired at 9:30, this building is no longer a legal entity. The room erupts into chaos. The reporters are shouting into their microphones. The guests are pushing toward the exits. The sound is like a landslide. But Julian stands perfectly still. He is trapped in the red light. He looks at me. I am still standing in the corner. I am still holding my mop. I am still the janitor, but I am also the landlord. I walk toward the velvet rope. I unhook it with my good hand. The crowd parts for me. Not because they know who I am, but because I am the only one who is not afraid. I walk toward the podium. My boots make a heavy, rhythmic sound on the marble. I reach the table where the $1 trillion contract is lying. I look at Julian. He looks like a hollow man. The arrogance is gone. The king has no clothes. You missed a spot? Julian, I say. My voice is calm. It is cinematic. It is the sound of justice being served cold. I pick up the gold pen. The one he dropped. I do not sign the contract. I draw a single, thick line through his name. Julian finds his voice. It is a high, pathetic sound. You can't do this. I erased you. You don't exist. I reach into my pocket. I pull out the corroded penny, the one he threw into my bucket. I place it on top of the contract. The ghost just issued a margin call. I say, the screens change again? The blood-red light vanishes. In its place, a countdown timer appears. 60 seconds. The timer is linked to the building's main breakers. I didn't just seize the land. I seized the access. In 60 seconds, every digital lock in the building will engage. Every account will be frozen for a sovereign audit. The Federal Reserve merger is not just dead. It is a crime scene. The Federal Reserve chairman turns to his security team. "Get me out of here," he shouts. Now, before we are legally connected to this, they flee. The elite guests follow. Julian is left standing alone on his podium. He looks at the screen. He looks at the ticking clock. 50 seconds. He realizes that he didn't just lose a merger. He lost his identity. He is standing in a building he doesn't own, wearing a suit he can't pay for, talking to a man he thought was trash. The smell of the ozone is getting stronger. The building is preparing to lock down. The silence is coming back. But this time, it will be the silence of a tomb. I look at Julian one last time. I see the realization hit him. The secret weapon wasn't the gold. It wasn't the data. It was the very ground he was standing on. 10 seconds. I turn my back on him. I walk toward the private elevator, the one that only responds to my biometric print now. The doors slide open. "Where are you going?" Julian screams. He is running toward me now. His face is twisted with terror. I step into the elevator. I look at the silver watch on my wrist. It is exactly 9:31. I'm going to my office. I say, the doors hiss shut. The lock engages. The sound of $1 trillion dying is not a bang. It is a whisper. Oh, cold. Sharp whisper that cuts through the expensive air of the Sterling and Cross lobby. The silence is heavy. It presses against the lungs of every billionaire in the room. The smell of the lilies is gone. It has been replaced by the acidic scent of human sweat and sheer, unadulterated terror. The Federal Reserve chairman is no longer a powerful man. He is a man looking for an exit. But there are no exits left. The red light from the 50-foot screen continues to pulse. It is the heartbeat of a ghost. It reflects off the gold-plated pens and the silk ties. It makes everyone look like they are drowning in a sea of blood. Julian Cross is standing on his podium. He is frozen. His mouth is open, but no sound is coming out. He looks like a statue of a king. Cracking from the inside, the lead lawyer for the Federal Reserve, a man named Holloway, steps forward. He is holding his tablet with both hands. His knuckles are white. He looks at the screen. Then he looks at Julian. His voice is a thin, trembling wire. "The merger is dead," Holloway says. "We cannot merge with a legal void." Julian finally finds his voice. It is a high, cracked sound. A void. "What are you talking about?" "It's a mistake. A digital glitch. My engineers will fix it in 5 minutes." Holloway shakes his head. "It's not a glitch, Julian. It's the law of the land. This allodial title is verified. It is the highest form of ownership. If the lease expired at 9:30, then you have been a trespasser for the last 60 seconds. But it's worse than that. Much worse." Holloway turns to the other lawyers. He is breathing fast now. The air in the lobby feels like it is being sucked out by a vacuum. If Julian's corporation didn't own the land, they didn't have the right to sign any contracts. No mortgages. No commercial loans. No international transfers. For 30 years. Every single transaction made inside this building was built on a foundation of trespass. The words void for trespass appear on the red screen. They are massive. They are final. The room erupts. It is not a organized panic. It is a riot of the elite. These are men and women who have never been told no. Now they are being told they don't exist. If the transactions are void, their money is gone. Their investments are ghosts. Their power is a memory. I see a duchess from London clutched her pearls so hard they scatter across the marble like tiny white teeth. Julian, someone screams from the crowd. Where is our money? Julian is shaking now. The charcoal suit looks too big for him. He looks small. He looks like the trash he thought I was. He grabs the microphone. The feedback creates a piercing, squealing sound that makes everyone wince. Julian screams. Everyone, stay calm. This is my building. I built this. Security, security. Remove this man immediately. He is pointing at me. I am still standing by the elevator. My blue uniform is a sharp contrast to the red light. I am the only calm person in the building. I look at Julian. I don't feel anger. I don't feel hate. I only feel the cold. Mathematical weight of justice. The security team moves. There are 20 of them. They are all former special forces. They are wearing black tactical gear. They carry silenced weapons. They are the best money can buy. They move with a lethal, rhythmic grace. They push through the crowd of panicked billionaires. They are heading toward the podium. Julian smiles. A desperate, ugly smile. That's right. Grab him. Throw him into the basement. I'll deal with him myself. The head of security is a man named Miller. He is a giant. His face is a mask of scarred stone. He has worked for Julian for 10 years. He has protected Julian's secrets. He has buried Julian's mistakes. Miller reaches the podium. He doesn't look at Julian. He doesn't look at me. He looks at his men. He gives a hand signal. A closed fist. The 20 guards stop. They don't grab me. Instead, they turn. They form a perfect black wall of steel between the crowd and me. They are facing Julian. Their weapons are not drawn, but their presence is a threat. Julian's smile vanishes. He takes a step back. He bumps into the gold-plated table. The trillion-dollar contract falls to the floor. It is just a piece of paper now. Miller, what are you doing? I said grab him. Miller doesn't move. He speaks without turning his head. His voice is a low, deep rumble that vibrates in the floor. Our contracts are with the owner of the Sterling and Cross property, Mr. Cross. Julian gasps. Exactly. I am the owner. I pay your salary. Miller finally turns his head. He looks at Julian with eyes that have seen too much war. No, you don't. We checked the accounts. 5 minutes ago, all payroll funds were transferred to a sovereign trust. The trust is owned by the Allodial heir. Our contracts just transitioned to the new landlord. Miller looks at me. He gives a sharp, professional nod. We are standing by for your orders, Mr. Sterling. The name Sterling echoes in the room. It is the name on the screen. It is the name on the deed. It is the name of the man Julian tried to erase. The guests are silent now. They are looking at me. They see the janitor, but they also see the man who holds their entire world in his bandaged hand. The atmosphere is thick with the smell of ozone and the sound of distant sirens. The police are coming. The regulators are coming. The vultures are circling. Julian collapses into his chair. The gold pen is still lying on the floor. He looks at his hands. They are trembling. He reaches for his phone. He is trying to call his offshore accounts. He is trying to find a way to escape, but I am already 3 steps ahead of him. The red screen changes again. It is no longer showing the deed. It is showing a live map of the world. There are hundreds of red dots appearing across the map. Each dot is an offshore account linked to the name Julian Cross. Every dot is turning gray, one by one. The assets are frozen, I say. My voice is not loud, but it carries to the back of the room. The sovereign audit has begun. Every dollar you stole, every cent you laundered, it is being reclaimed by the trust. You are not a billionaire anymore, Julian. You are just a man in an expensive suit, occupying a room you didn't pay for. Julian looks at me. His eyes are wild with a terrifying realization. He realizes that the janitor didn't just take his bank. The janitor took his future. The sound of the sirens is getting louder. They are right outside the glass doors. The blue and red lights are reflecting off the white marble, mixing with the blood-red light from the screen. It looks like a storm is breaking inside the lobby. Julian stands up. He looks at the wall of security guards. He looks at the Federal Reserve chairman. He looks at the cameras. He realizes he is trapped. He reaches into his jacket. He is looking for something. Miller's hand goes to his holster. The tension in the room is a wire about to snap. Julian pulls out a small, leather-bound book. It is his private ledger, the one with the names of the people who helped him frame me. He looks at it. Then he looks at the massive shredder bin near the reception desk. He starts to run, but he doesn't realize that the floor is still wet. He doesn't realize that the soap I used is industrial grade. He slips. He falls hard onto the marble. The ledger slides across the floor. It stops exactly at the toe of my boot. I reach down. I pick it up. I look at Julian. He is lying on the floor. His charcoal suit is soaked with gray, soapy water. He looks like a pathetic, drowning animal. You missed a spot. Julian, I say. I look at the security team. I look at the doors. The police are bursting in now. Their boots are loud. Their voices are shouting, but as I open the ledger, my heart stops. I see a name on the first page. A name I didn't expect to see. It isn't a politician. It isn't a banker. It is the name of the one person I thought was innocent. The real betrayal is only just beginning. Julian is still on the floor. The soapy water has ruined his $1,000 trousers. He looks like a broken toy. The police have stopped in their tracks. The Federal Reserve lawyers are staring. The room is silent, except for the sound of a single printer. It is in the corner of the reception desk. It is clicking. It is humming. It is spitting out page after page of blue ink documents. The smell of fresh toner fills the air. It is a sharp, chemical smell. It is the smell of a final judgment. I walk toward the printer. My boots are steady. My bandaged hand does not shake. I pick up the warm paper. I look at Julian Dot. He is gasping for air. The arrogance has been replaced by a primal fear. He looks at the ledger I am holding, the one he tried to destroy. I do not give it to him. I hold it up for the cameras, for the world. I begin to speak. My voice is a low, deep rumble. It is the voice of a man who has waited 10 years to tell the truth. Everyone remembers the great heist, I say. My voice echoes off the marble. $500 million in gold. Vanished. They said the architect did it. They said I'd bypass my own sensors. They were half right. I did bypass the sensors. But the gold never left this building. It never left the system. Julian's eyes go wide. He tries to stand up. Miller, the head of security, places a heavy hand on his shoulder. He pushes Julian back down. Julian let out a soft, pathetic groan. I continue. I knew Julian was planning to frame me. I saw it in his eyes months before it happened. So I made a move. I created a sovereign trust. It was a digital ghost, a legal entity with no name. I moved the gold into that trust, legally. It was parked in an escrow account that was invisible to the bank's audits. When Julian opened the vault that night, it was empty. He thought he was being clever. He thought he was stealing from the bank and blaming me. But he was actually stealing a void. I walk closer to him. I can see the sweat dripping off his chin. It hits the marble. Drip, drip, drip. For 10 years. That gold has been sitting in the dark, growing, accruing interest. It became the hidden foundation of the sovereign trust. But Julian didn't know that. He just knew there was a mysterious, high-limit credit facility available on the private market. He was greedy. He wanted a trophy. He wanted to show the world he was the king of New York. I pull a specific page from the printer. It is a contract for a vessel, the MV Legacy, a 300-foot superyacht. It is the most expensive private boat ever built. 2 years ago, I say, Julian bought his yacht. He didn't use his own money. He was over-leveraged. He used a loan from an anonymous offshore trust. The interest rate was low. The terms seemed too good to be true. He signed the paperwork without reading the fine print. He thought he was just signing for a boat. He thought he was the hunter, but he was already in the trap. I leaned down. I put the paper an inch from Julian's face. Look at the signature, Julian. Look at the collateral clause. You didn't just pledge the yacht. You signed a personal guarantee, a cross-default indemnity. You linked your personal liability to the hidden gold trust. You unknowingly agreed that if the bank ever faced a liquidity crisis, you, Julian Cross, would be personally responsible for every cent of the bank's debt. The Federal Reserve Chairman gasps. He understands the math. He made himself the human shield for the entire institution. The chairman whispers. I nod. Exactly. And since the merger just failed, and since the land lease has expired, the bank is now in total default. The sovereign trust has just triggered the indemnity. Julian, you are not just broke. You are personally liable for $2.4 trillion of institutional debt. You owe the world more money than has ever existed. The room is spinning for Julian. I can see it in his eyes. He is looking at a debt that will last 1,000 lifetimes. He is looking at a financial noose that is tightening around his neck. Every penny he has, every house, every car, every piece of art, it is all being sucked into the void of the trust. He is the prey now, and the system is hungry. Julian starts to laugh. It is a high, hysterical sound. It is the sound of a mind snapping. It doesn't matter, he screams. The police are here. You stole the key. You hacked the servers. You're going back to the cell. Arthur, I'll be in debt. But you'll be in a cage. He looks at the police officers. Arrest him. He admitted it. He moved the gold. He's the thief, the lead police officer. A man with a tired face and a silver badge. Walks forward. He looks at me. He looks at Julian. Then he looks at the ledger I picked up from the floor. The one Julian dropped. The officer takes the ledger from my hand. He opens the first page. He reads the name I saw. His face goes hard. He looks at his partner. He gives a small nod. The officers do not move toward me. They walk toward the podium. They walk past me. They stand over Julian. Julian Cross, the officer says. His voice is cold. You are under arrest for corporate espionage, grand larceny, and the attempted murder of Alina Sterling. The room goes dead silent. The word murder hangs in the air like a heavy, toxic fog. I feel a chill run down my spine. I look at the ledger. I think about the name I saw. Julian stops laughing. His face goes gray. Alina, she's alive. She's with me. She's at the penthouse. The officer shakes his head. We just searched the penthouse. Mr. Cross, we found the hidden room. We found the medical records. And we found the letters she was trying to send to the police for 5 years. Letters you intercepted. My chest feels tight. I can't breathe. I thought she betrayed me. I thought she chose him. I thought she left me to rot. For 5 years, I have hated her. I have used that hate to fuel my revenge. I have been mopping floors and counting scenes while the woman I loved was being held captive in a golden cage. I look at Julian. Truly look at him. He isn't just a thief. He is a monster. He didn't just take my life. He took hers. Where is she? I whisper. My voice is shaking. The MaryCinematic.com is gone. This is raw. This is real. Julian looks at me. Slow, evil smile spreads across his face. Even in defeat, he wants to hurt me. He wants to have the last word. You're a genius architect. Arthur, Julian sneers. You found the land deeds. You found the gold. You found the bank, but you were always bad at finding people. He leans in, ignoring the police, ignoring the cameras. The merger wasn't the only thing happening today. I knew you were the janitor. I knew it months ago. I just wanted to see how far you would go. While you were mopping the lobby, I was moving the cargo. He looks at the clock on the wall. It's 9:45. The MV Legacy is already 3 miles out at sea. She's on the yacht, Arthur, and that boat is programmed to scuttle the moment the anchors are raised. The physical sensation of my heart stopping is real. The ice in my veins is real. I look at Miller. He is already on his radio. He is shouting orders to the security team. The financial noose is tight. The revenge is complete. Julian is destroyed. But the prize is sinking. I look at the penny in my hand. It is cold. It is small. It is worthless. I don't care about the bank. I don't care about the $1 trillion. I don't care about the Allodial title. I look at Miller. Get the helicopter, I say. The micro cliffhanger is here. The world is watching a billionaire fall. But I am watching a horizon where the only thing that matters is disappearing under the waves. The hunter is now the prey. But the architect has to become something else. He has to become a savior. Julian, I say. I lean down so only he can hear me. If she dies, the debt won't be your only problem. I designed the security for your yacht, too. I turn and run toward the elevator. The sound of the sirens is fading behind me. The sound of the ocean is all I can hear. The countdown has started again. And this time, it is personal. The final move is not a bullet. It is a delete key. I am standing over the man who thought he was a god. Julian is crawling on the floor I used to mop. He is looking for a way out. But there are no doors left for a man who doesn't exist. The red light of the lobby continues to pulse. It is a slow, rhythmic heartbeat of a dying empire. The air is cold. It is the kind of cold that starts in your bones and moves to your heart. It smells of ozone and the metallic temps of fear. The world is watching through the lenses of a dozen cameras. They are not seeing a CEO. They are seeing a ghost being born. I reach into the inner pocket of my blue polyester uniform. I pull out a heavy, cream-colored folio. It is wrapped in a black ribbon. The paper is old. It is thick. It has the weight of history in every fiber. I do not hand it to Julian. I place it on the gold-plated podium, right next to the $1 trillion contract that is now worthless. I untie the ribbon. The sound of the silk sliding against the paper is like a whisper in a cathedral. This is a letter of Marque, I say. My voice is steady. It is the merry cinematic deepness that echoes through the silence. Most people think these belong in history books. They think they died with the pirates of the Caribbean. They are wrong. Under the allodial law of this land, under the ancient maritime statutes of the 1800s, this building is not a bank. It is a vessel that has run aground on sovereign reefs. Julian looks up. His eyes are bloodshot. He is panting like a hunted animal. A vessel? You're insane. This is Manhattan. This is the financial center of the world. I look him directly in the eyes. I want him to feel the weight of my 10 years. Manhattan is built on water and greed, Julian, and because you are a trespasser, because you committed fraud on sovereign soil, you have legally abandoned this vessel. Under the laws of salvage, I am not just the architect. I am the privateer who has captured your ship. I am seizing the Sterling and Cross Corporation as maritime salvage. The Federal Reserve lawyers are whispering in the shadows. They are checking their digital law books. I see one of them nod slowly. The logic is a trap. It is a cage made of words and history. If the building is on sovereign land and the lease is expired, the corporation inside is no longer protected by the laws of the United States. It is in international waters. It is a ghost ship. I reach for the dead man's key still plugged into the panel. I tap a command on my wireless remote. The 50-foot screen changes. The blood red light vanishes. It is replaced by a white, clinical void. In the center of the void, Julian's profile appears. His official corporate headshot. His name, his titles. His biography. Checkmate. Julian, I say, dot. I press a single button on the screen. Julian's headshot begins to pixelate. It starts at the edges. His expensive hair. His charcoal suit. His smug smile. They all turn into digital dust. One by one, the lines of text beneath his name begin to vanish. Chief Executive. Officer deleted. Chairman of the board. Deleted majority shareholder. Deleted. Julian scrambles toward the podium. He is trying to reach the screen. He is trying to grab the data out of the air. Miller, the head of security, doesn't even have to move. He just stands there. A wall of black tactical gear. Julian hits the podium and falls back onto the wet marble. My accounts, Julian screams. You can't touch my personal accounts. Those are in Switzerland. They are protected by 1,000 layers of encryption. I don't look at them. I look at the screen. Encryption is just a lock. Julian, I am the man who designed the keys. But I didn't just hack your accounts. I unincorporated you. The screen shows a list of banks. Names that run the world. UBS, HSBC, Credit Suisse. JP Morgan, next to each name. A balance is shown. Millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Then the numbers begin to spin. They are moving. Backward. It looks like a countdown to 0. The sound of the computer processing the request is a high-pitched whine. It sounds like a jet engine at a distance. The smell of the servers burning through the data is filling the lobby. It is the smell of a life being erased in real time. The letter of Marque allows me to seize all assets tied to the criminal entity known as Julian Cross. I say, since you use the bank's infrastructure to hide your personal wealth is now considered corporate salvage. You are not being fired, Julian. You are being liquidated. The balances hit 0. One by one. The total at the bottom of the screen reads $0. Julian's phone in his hand begins to vibrate. It is a frantic, violent sound. He looks at the screen. A notification appears in bright red. Identity not found. Account terminated. He tries to open his digital wallet. Account terminated. He tries to call his lawyer. Service restricted. I continue. But I didn't stop there. An unincorporated entity cannot hold citizenship in a sovereign land. I have flagged your passport with the Interpol database. I have filed a notice of non-existence with the State Department. As of 3 minutes ago, Julian Cross is no longer a citizen of the United States. You are a man without a country, a man without a name. You are a legal ghost. The police officer with the tired face walks over. He is holding a pair of heavy, steel handcuffs. He looks at Julian with a mixture of pity and disgust. I can't even process your arrest, Mr. Cross. The system won't accept your fingerprints. It says you don't exist in the database. Julian looks at his hands. He looks at his fingers. He looks like he is waiting for them to disappear. He is shivering now. The cold of the lobby has finally reached his soul. He is a man who spent his life building a mountain of paper. Now the paper has turned to ash. The cameras are still rolling. This is the ultimate justice porn. The viewers at home are seeing the man who stepped on a janitor's hand become less than the dirt on the floor. I turn away from him. I have no more words for a ghost. I have a more important mission. I look at the silver watch on my wrist. It is 9:55 a.m. The MV Legacy is moving. The yacht that Julian bought with stolen gold. The yacht that is currently holding Alina Sterling. The yacht that is a floating coffin. Miller, I say. My voice is sharp now. Is the helicopter ready? Miller nods. On the roof, Mr. Sterling, but the storm is picking up. The pilot says it's a suicide mission. I look at the blood on my bandage. I think about the 5 years of scrubbing Julian's floors while my wife was trapped in his cage. I think about the letters she tried to send, the words she tried to whisper to a man who wasn't there to hear them. I've been dead for 10 years. Miller, I say, a little wind won't stop me now. I walk toward the private elevator. The lobby is behind me. Julian is behind me. The bank is behind me. I don't look back. A privateer doesn't look back at the wreck. He looks at the prize, but as the elevator doors start to close, I hear Julian's voice one last time. It is a high, piercing shriek. You can't save her. The code is locked. If I don't enter the password every 60 minutes, the scuttle valves open. You erased me. You erased the only person who can stop the ship from sinking. The elevator doors hiss shut. The silence inside the elevator is absolute. I am rising toward the roof, toward the wind, toward the rain. I realize the gravity of my own checkmate. I didn't just delete Julian's money. I deleted the heartbeat of the yacht by unincorporating him. I have triggered the dead man's switch on the MV Legacy dot. The boat isn't just sinking. It is being erased from the ocean. The micro cliffhanger is a cold blade in my chest. I have won the war. I have taken the bank. I have destroyed my enemy. But in my thirst for justice, I might have just signed Elena's death warrant. The elevator reaches the roof. The doors open to a wall of gray rain and the roar of helicopter blades. The final race has begun. The sound of the lockdown is a deep, final thud. It is the sound of 5 tons of reinforced titanium and electromagnetic seals finding their home. Julian Cross is no longer a CEO. He is a rat in a gold-plated cage. The lobby is empty of the elite now. The Duchess is gone. The chairman has fled. Only the ghosts of the trillion-dollar merger remain. The air is stagnant. It smells of ozone, spent adrenaline, and the faint, lingering scent of my industrial floor wax. Julian stands at the massive glass doors, the ones that lead to the balcony. He is pulling at the handles with both hands. His knuckles are white. His face is purple. He is screaming. But the glass is 3 inches thick. It was designed to keep the world out. Now it is designed to keep the devil in. I stand in the center of the hall. I am not moving. I am just watching. The red emergency lights are still pulsing. They cast long, jagged shadows across the white marble. Every time the light hits Julian, he looks like he is bleeding. He looks like a man drowning in a shallow pool of his own making. He turns away from the door. He sees me. He sees the man in the blue polyester uniform, the man with the cracked knuckles and the silver watch. He tries to run for the service stairs. He thinks he knows a shortcut. He thinks he knows the building better than the man who drew the blueprints. He reaches the stairwell door. He slams his shoulder against it. Nothing. He tries the keypad. He types in his master code, 1984. The keypad chirps. A high, mocking sound. A red light flashes. Access denied. He tries it again. He is hitting the keys so hard his fingertips are starting to bleed. 1984. Access denied. He doesn't understand that I didn't just delete his bank accounts. I deleted his permissions. In the eyes of the building's central nervous system, Julian Cross is a foreign object. He is a virus that the architecture is trying to isolate. He falls to his knees. The charcoal suit is shredded at the seams. He looks at me. His eyes are wide with a terrifying primal realization. Arthur, please, he whispers. His voice is a thin, ragged thing. It sounds like dry leaves blowing over a grave. Open the doors. I'll give you anything. I have a secondary trust in Singapore. 50 million. It's yours. Just let me reach the roof. I don't answer. I don't need his money. I have his land. I walk toward the executive elevator. My boots make a heavy, rhythmic sound. The sound of a clock ticking down to 0. I am not heading for the roof yet. I have one last piece of architecture to reclaim. I step into the elevator. The doors hiss shut. I am rising, not to the clouds, but to the peak of the mountain, the 44th floor. The inner sanctum. The elevator opens directly into the CEO's office. The room is vast. It smells of old paper, expensive tobacco, and the cold, hard scent of absolute power. The floor-to-ceiling windows show the storm breaking over the city. The rain is hitting the glass like 1,000 silver needles. The sound is a low, constant drum. It is a hypnotic sound. It is the sound of a world being washed clean. I walk across the thick, midnight blue carpet. It feels different under my boots now. It doesn't feel like a surface I have to clean. It feels like the ground I was meant to walk on. I reach the desk. The obsidian slab. I look at the chair. It is made of hand-stitched leather. It is the color of a dark, expensive wine. For 5 years, I have dusted this chair. I have polished the wood. I have stood behind it while Julian sat in it and planned his next theft. I have watched him lean back in this chair and laugh at the lives he was destroying. I reach out with my bandaged hand. I touch the leather. 'Tis cold. It is waiting. I turn the chair around. I sit down. The physical sensation is overwhelming. The chair is perfectly calibrated. It supports my back. It elevates my height. From here, I can see the entire city. I can see the lights of the harbor. I can see the tiny, flashing blue and red lights of the police cars. They are 3 blocks away. They are coming for the ghost. But I am not the ghost anymore. I look at the monitor on the desk. It is still active. It is showing a live feed of the lobby. Julian is back at the center of the hall. He is curled into a ball. He is shaking. He looks like a pile of laundry. He is crying. A soft, pathetic sound that the high-fidelity microphones pick up with perfect clarity. He is muttering to himself. He is talking to people who aren't there. He is talking to the gold he lost. He is talking to the wife he kidnapped. I press the intercom button. The sound of the system engaging is a low, electric hum. "Julian," I say. My voice is projected through the massive speakers in the lobby. It is the voice of the building itself. Julian jumps. He looks around. He looks up at the ceiling. He looks like he is looking at God. "Arthur, where are you? Let me out. The police are here. They'll kill me." I lean back in the chair. I pick up the gold pen Julian dropped. I hold it between my fingers. I look at the reflection of the rain in the obsidian. "I'm in your chair, Julian. It's quite comfortable. I can see why you liked it so much. The view is spectacular. You can see everyone from up here. They all look like ants, don't they?" Julian is sobbing now. He is clawing at his throat. He is gasping for air that is being filtered by my machines. "Please, Arthur, the Yatalina. I'll tell you the code. Just open the door." I look at the silver watch on my wrist. It is 10 o'clock. The sirens are louder now. They are right outside the building. I can hear the tires screeching on the wet pavement. I can hear the heavy doors of the SWAT vans opening. The world is arriving to collect the wreckage of Sterling and Cross. The doors will open when the police arrive. "Julian," I say, "the system is programmed to surrender to the authorities, but only after the sovereign audit is complete. You have exactly 60 seconds of freedom left. Use them wisely." Julian scrambles to his feet. He runs back to the glass. He sees the blue and red lights reflecting off the buildings. He realizes there is no escape. He realizes that the janitor didn't just lock him in. The janitor made sure the world was watching when the cage was opened. I look down at the floor near the desk. There is a small, faint smudge. It is a drop of the scotch Julian was drinking earlier. It is a tiny, amber stain on the pristine floor. I look at it for a long time. I think about the millions of miles I have mopped. I think about the years of my life that were stolen. I think about the blood on my knuckles. I lean into the microphone one last time. My voice is cold. It is final. "Julian," I say. He stops. He looks at the camera lens in the corner of the ceiling. He is staring directly at me. "You missed a spot," I say. The sound of the front doors unlocking is a thunderclap. The electromagnetic seals disengage. The heavy glass doors swing open. The cold, wet air of Manhattan rushes into the lobby. It carries the smell of the city. The smell of reality. 20 police officers burst into the room. Their weapons are drawn. Their flashlights cut through the red light like white knives. They surround Julian. They push him onto the wet marble. They pull his arms behind his back. The metal of the handcuffs clicks into place. It is a small sound, but it is the loudest sound in the world. I watch it all on the screen. I watch the man who thought he was a god get dragged toward the exit. He is screaming my name. He is screaming for mercy. But the rain drowns him out. The city doesn't care. The land doesn't care. I stand up from the chair. I am still wearing my blue uniform. I am still the janitor. But as I walk toward the private elevator, I don't feel like a servant. I feel like the architect who just finished his greatest work. I reach the roof. The wind is howling. The rain is a physical weight. The helicopter is waiting. The blades are a blur of gray motion. Miller is standing by the door. He looks at me. He doesn't say a word. He doesn't have to. He just points toward the ocean. I step onto the helicopter. We rise into the storm. The Sterling and Cross building shrinks beneath me. It looks like a tombstone in the middle of the city. But as we head toward the horizon, toward the sinking yacht, I look at the silver watch. The scuttle valves have already opened. The MV Legacy is taking on water. And I have 30 minutes to find a woman in the middle of the Atlantic. The micro cliffhanger is a cold hand on my heart. I have destroyed the villain. But I have triggered the end of the world for the only person I love. The system is perfect. But the system is heartless. Faster, I say to the pilot. The helicopter dives into the gray void. The rain has stopped. The air is cold and sharp. It is the kind of silence that only exists after a storm has broken the world. I am standing on the helipad of the skyscraper, 700 feet above the streets of Manhattan. The sun is rising over the Atlantic. It is a pale, frozen gold. It hits the glass of the surrounding towers like a million diamond needles. The city below is waking up. The tiny, yellow dots of taxis are moving through the veins of the city. To them, I am just a silhouette against the sky. To them, I am a ghost. But I've never felt more real. The air up here is thin. It smells of wet concrete, salt air, and the faint, lingering scent of jet fuel. The wind is a low, constant hum in my ears. It is a clean sound. It has washed away the smell of bleach. It has washed away the smell of the storage closet. I am no longer breathing filtered air. I am breathing the air of the sovereign. My chest feels light. The tight, burning pressure that lived there for 10 years is gone. It has been replaced by a cold, hard clarity. I am not wearing the blue polyester uniform anymore. The fabric was scratchy. It was cheap. It was a badge of my invisibility. Now I am wearing a suit that was tailored in a room where the walls are covered in silk. It is black. It is silent. It is a masterpiece of wool and shadow. It fits me like armor. I can feel the weight of the fabric on my shoulders. It is a heavy, reassuring weight. It is the weight of the man I was always meant to be. I look down at my hand, my left hand. The skin is healed. The scar is a thin, white line across my knuckles. It is a map of a moment, a reminder of the day the system tried to break me. I touch the scar with my thumb. It is smooth. It is cold. Julian Cross thought he was crushing a janitor's hand. He didn't realize he was pressing the ignition button on his own destruction. He didn't realize that the pressure of his boot was the very thing that turned my coal into a diamond. I am now the shadow. Chairman of the Global Trust. The trust is not a bank. It is not a corporation. It is a sovereign ledger. It is a digital fortress built on the Allodial Title of the 1800s. It operates in the spaces between laws. It exists in the silence between heartbeats. I have taken the gold Julian stole. I have taken the assets he laundered, and I have turned them into a weapon for the invisible. We are a network now. The janitors, the night shift security guards, The data entry clerks who see the numbers. We are the people who keep the world running while the elite sleep. For 5 years, I recruited them. I gave them a purpose. I gave them a way to fight back. We don't use guns. We use access. We don't use violence. We use logic. We are the architects of a new world. And I am the man who holds the master key. I look at the horizon. I can see the harbor where the MV Legacy was towed back to port. It is a dark, iron shape against the blue water. Alina is safe. She is in a private facility, surrounded by the best doctors money can buy. My money, she is sleeping now, dreaming of a life where the doors are never locked. I will go to her soon. But not yet. I have to finish the audit. I have to make sure every shadow is accounted for. Julian is in a place where the sun never reaches. He is in a cell that smells of stale bread and floor wax. It is a poetic justice. He spent his life trying to be the highest. Now he is at the absolute bottom. He is wearing orange plastic slides. I bought the company that made his $5,000 boots. I didn't just fire him. I erased the very possibility of his existence. I ordered the factory to burn the lasts. Those shoes will never be made again. The man who was stepped on now owns the boots. I own the leather. I own the thread. I own the factory. I walk to the edge of the helipad. The glass railing is cold under my hand. I look at the Sterling and Cross building across the street. The name is already being removed. Workers in orange vests are peeling the gold letters off the marble. It is a satisfying sight. The letters are falling into a dumpster. They look like trash, because that is all they ever were. The system didn't break me. It tried. It used its weight. It used its lawyers. It used its police. It used its lies. It took 10 years of my life. It took my name. It took my family. But it forgot one thing. A system is just a set of rules. And rules are made of language. I am an architect. I understand how things are built. I understand the tension. I understand the load-bearing walls. I didn't just break the rules. I rewrote the code. I changed the variables. I altered the source code of power. I created a loop where greed becomes a liability. I created a trap where arrogance becomes a cage. The system is still there. But it is my system now. It works for the ghosts. It works for the people who were told they didn't matter. It works for the man who mopped the floor. I feel the vibration of the building through the soles of my shoes. It is a steady, powerful pulse. It is the sound of $1 trillion breathing. It is a beautiful sound. It is a cinematic sound. I look at the silver watch on my wrist. My father's watch. It is exactly 9:30 a.m. The markets are opening in a boardroom 3 miles away. A CEO is shouting at his assistant. In a penthouse in London, a duke is hiding his mistress's debts. In a vault in Zurich, a politician is counting his bribes. They all think they are safe. They all think they are the hunters. They don't see me. They don't know that the janitor is watching. They don't know that I have already identified their flaws. They don't know that their leases are about to expire. I am the shadow chairman. I am the architect of justice. I am the man at the peak of the tower. I turn away from the edge. The helicopter is coming back. I can hear the rhythmic, thumping sound of the blades. It sounds like a drum, a war drum. I walk toward the center of the helipad. The wind catches my coat. It billows behind me like a cape of midnight silk. I stop. I look at the camera on the corner of the roof. It is one of mine. I know the world is watching. I know the elite are terrified. They want to know who I am. They want to know my name. I reach into my pocket. I pull out a small, corroded penny. The one Julian threw at me. I look at it in the sunlight. It is a piece of junk, but it is also a trophy. It is the price of an empire. I drop the penny. It hits the concrete with a sharp, final click. The audit is complete, I whisper. The helicopter doors open. I step inside. We rise into the blue, higher than the skyscrapers, higher than the clouds. I look down at the city one last time. It looks like a circuit board, A masterpiece of logic. A masterpiece of mine. The man who was at absolute zero has reached the peak. The revenge is over. But the rain is just beginning. I look at the pilot. He is a man I saved from a debt slave contract in Dubai. He looks at me with respect. He looks at me with loyalty. "Where to, Mr. Sterling?" he asks. I look toward the horizon, toward the mountains where Alina is waiting, toward the future I am building. Everywhere. I say, the helicopter dives into the light.